Hello and welcome everyone, my name is Madals and this is another StarCraft 2 England cast. And well guys, it is from the Razor Replay Pack of the Week. It is between LiquidSea, the blue Terran player in the lower right position, who's up against JookTo, who is of course the red Zerg in the top left. Now, for those of you who don't know who JookTo is, well, he is a awesome Korean gamer. He has been previously Code S in the GSL, but after getting knocked out in January 2011, he has been Code A ever since. Never winning it, but doing relatively well, like rounds of 4 and things like that. So he's been doing pretty well. He's in Season 3, Code A as well, of the GSL 2012. So a good player. LiquidSea, obviously, those of you who follow my channel know I've cast most of his replay pack now. And yeah, he's damn good. He's the newest member of Team Liquid. And yeah, he is super awesome. I do love him a bit. But anyway, so Ahana is the map. Now, obviously, being a TvZ, you have really two options as a Terran, in my opinion. Command Center first or one Rax Command Center. They are really the only viable openings, in my opinion, in this matchup at the moment, unless you're doing something cheesy. Obviously, JookTo, it's going to be a 15 hatch, 16 pool, and then being Ohana, it gets quite interesting. This is where a lot of Zerg players are starting to really try and work out how they transition out of the... basically play against a one Rax Command Center opening, because they're on equal bases with the Terran and they can't really push into it. So they kind of get forced into taking a quick third base, but it's later than a super quick third that you tend to see against, say, Protoss or something, and it's just a bit awkward, but it's really good for Terran, and Zerg players still obviously do very well. It all comes down to a lot whether their third base gets up successfully or if they take too much damage from, say, like Hellions, because the usual follow-up from the one Rax Command Center is you then get Hellion Banshee. That is just so common in the aggression, and the reason that works so well is it really pins the Zerg player back for a long period of time where they're unable to really push forward because they're too busy defending. And if anything goes wrong, if they let the Hellions into the mineral line or the Banshee gets too many kills, it can be really difficult for a Zerg player to come back from that, because you can get incredibly behind incredibly quickly. But here we go, LiquidSea, he's going for the one Rax Command Center, chuck down now, there we go. Meanwhile, we've got JookTo with his hatch down, his spawning pool down, and you're even seeing some Zerg players just go for the third hatch pretty much ASAP. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, because it's getting so common for this. The only thing you have to be careful of is what this SCV does, because you do still get some marine pressure with a bunker or something like that, which can be awkward to defend if it gets down. If it doesn't get down, of course, you're fine, but you just want to be careful. But all while you can see the SCV, you're pretty much laughing, and you're pretty much happy with it. Now, obviously, the follow-up from this from C, he should get the double gas down soon, then a factory, then a reactor, then, of course, switch those over, starts the Hellion production, start the starport, get the tech lab on the barracks, switch those over, get the Banshees. You can skip if you need to, obviously, the Banshees, should you want to, but most Terran players are seeming to go for that at the moment because it's just really good aggressive play and can deal an awful lot of damage. Now, we do see here just a couple of Zerglings out. They're going to be able to pick off that SCV, which is good. They picked off the Marine as well. And wow, C doing one of my favourite things is actually going for the one Rax Command Center. So getting 3 bases super early on. And the reason I love this so much is because the Zerg player tends not to be able to really do much about it, and it keeps you on equal bases when they take their quick third, and it's really tough to do. And of course, scouting information doesn't come down either there. Now, the one thing JookTo is doing, which I love, is he's got these 2 queens forward. I'd like to see him get 2 more queens, because I think 4 queens early on is just so good, because you get amazing creep spread and good defense, and that is exactly what he's doing. So big heart to JookTo right there for amazing play. Looking here, we should see the factory chuck down any second. We're nearly up to 100 gas, and yeah, this play, ace, like absolutely brilliant getting this third command center, and it is a ballsy move, because the reason this can lose you the game is purely that if the Zerg player decides they can do a 2-base all-in on you, which some Zerg players do. It depends whether they feel comfortable taking this third quickly or what experience they've had with it. But obviously, if there is a lot of aggression coming in, you can run into problems because you just can't defend this base very easily. But at worst, it can get cancelled. The other thing you tend to see quite a lot of Terran players do is, rather than C being very bold, building this command center down on the low ground at the base, you see quite a lot of Terrans just build it up in their main and have the third command center there and just float it down a little bit later after pumping out a couple of SCVs. But anyway, third base down for JookTo at the moment. He's getting up the spine cooler as well. That'll help with his defense. He's got no gas yet, other than these two. So obviously no gas in the main is essentially just there because then if any scout comes up here, you don't know whether it's 2 or 4 gas, which again is just hiding the information from your opponent. Meanwhile, we've got the Hellions coming out, we've got the Tech Lab, the Starport, so Banshee, Hellion, Harass coming up, which is just really, really nice. It'll be interesting to see where the cloaks grabbed. There's quite a lot of gas banked up already, so we may see that, especially with the third gas down already. Looking here, we've got the Overlord coming in, which will scout most of things should it decide to sacrifice itself. Creep spread good from JookTo, and for those of you who watched oh, I've forgotten what it is, brain freeze. Scarlet. If you watch Scarlet play, her creep spread, absolutely amazing, and it's really, really strong as well. And it really shows why creep spread is, in my opinion, such an underused mechanic by Zerg, and it really is just amazingly good. Anyway, we've got the Banshee coming down. No sign of cloak yet, of course, not enough gas quite yet, so wait to see whether that does come down. More Hellions are on their way out. The Hellions actually just really just being rallied down here for the moment. We do have that one Overlord, which can see, of course, the gas timings. Looking up here, we've got a Spore Crawler coming down at, well, the main and the third base, because of course the natural defended by those two, so that's absolutely fine. And again, this is just preemptively dealing with everything. We should see, oh, actually Spore Crawler coming down in the natural as well, that's quite surprising. But again, better to be safe than sorry. We do have the Banshee coming over, we've got the Hellions coming over, no sign of Cloak, so definitely not going to be getting a Cloak upgrade. The Banshee, after just one Banshee, actually, they're switching over the factory, getting produced on those double tech labs, so looks like it's going to be a mech transition out of this, which I really like, and this is where the Banshee Hellion harassment works so well, is that you see basically the Zerg players force back, which allows you to build up a mech army, which is vulnerable early game to aggression, but if your opponent's defending, they're not attacking you, which allows you to get up a good amount of tanks and blue flame Hellions, etc. And then you're pretty much safe, to be honest. So it's a good build, it's a really, really nice way, and it's difficult for Zerg to deal with. But looking here, we've got the lair coming out, we've got the Baning Nest, the macro hatch on its way. That's because the fourth base is not super easy to take. Creep spread, still good, being denied a bit by those Hellions, which is always good at keeping map awareness. That Overlord just poking and prodding around, trying to see anything it can. I don't know if it's come in here to scout the information about the factories. No, it hasn't, so it doesn't know that it's a mech style play yet. But the giveaways, there's quite a lot of Hellions out. You don't tend to get 8 Hellions unless you're going to go quite mech heavy. That Banshee, managing to get a couple of kills there, just one on it, so not doing super amazing. It is just the one Banshee as well. I like the fact that it's not an overcommitment to it either. Obviously, the Overseers there ready to deal with as well. The extra Queens helping later on in the game. So again, this is linking back to getting those 4 Queens on the 3 bases. Those 2 additional Queens really help. It's actually 5 Queens, I think, has been gone for here, so that's really nice. 2 Queens just for spreading creep is great. Zerglings coming in for a run by, though. This is going to be really, really quite potent. Zergling speed is, of course, finished. They get a surround on those Hellions. They're all going to go down. That is a nice little win. 2 more Hellions there, but pulling back. There's a couple of Marines there, but is the surround going to go down yet again? It would appear so, but the rest of the Hellions are falling back now, which is doing really nice. And there's, of course, Blue Flame half done. Thor's coming out as well, so that really puts... Once the Thor's out, you need roaches. Against Thor Hellion, you just get lots and lots of roaches, but as you can see here, JookTo not even with a roach run down yet. He's getting up to +1 carapace, he's got the +1 melee attack already, so not really geared up to deal with that. He's got his 4th base on the way. The creep spread still going really, really nicely. Could do with some creep spread down this side just to give some more map awareness, etc., but we'll let him off for that at the moment. Meanwhile, the 2 vehicle weapons coming down already for C, so he's keeping up upgrade-wise. Blue Flame is going to be finished off, and he's going to come up with a push here, and of course, with the lack of roaches, this could be very, very strong indeed, just because of the sheer number of Hellions there. And of course, a couple of Banelings morphing in. Banelings don't take extra damage from Hellions, but do extra damage to them, because of course Hellions are light units. But these Zerglings do manage to get a nice round, but of course Blue Flame is just so strong. Need to be careful of the Banelings though. They're the big problem. The Banelings, if they do get a good connection, can deal an awful lot of damage awfully quickly. The Queens, of course, good against Hellions as well. Transfuse going down absolutely beautifully. If the surround gets down, a good couple of Baneling hits there. Most of these Hellions getting cleaned up quite nicely now by JookTo, but see, he does manage to get away with quite a lot of them. The Thor count's starting to get a little bit higher. He's got 2 out already, 2 more nearly finished up. He's got, of course, the 2 vehicle weapons and armor upgrades coming down. 2 upgrades as well for JookTo. He's getting his first infestors out. No sign of a hive yet. That's not a massive problem, but he needs to start thinking about now. Generally around kind of at the 12-minute mark, you're going to be thinking, do I need a hive yet? He's got his 4th base up and ready to deal with mech. You're going to start needing that hive tech units out, because otherwise you're just struggling. And the only disappointing thing is obviously that for the moment JookTo has no idea about these Thors, which essentially means that he doesn't have that roach one, which is just oh so essential. C doing great jobs of getting these scans off, knows exactly the tech, knows that he saw that hive is just starting as well. That is great timing of the scan, knowing exactly what his opponent's going to be doing. This Banshee coming back in for a bit of a poke and prod as well, but with that Spore Crawler there, it's going to have a bit of a tough time. Maybe able to pick off any kind of units out on the edge, but for the most part, it looks like it's going to sit there. Meanwhile, we've got a Zergling Baneling counterattack coming in, but of course, a single command center floating over there will get denied by that. But all these Banelings are morphing and get spotted. We should see those Thors come up and try and help, but a good fungal growth goes down. That allows the Zerglings to surround those Hellions, and that gets cleaned up really, really nicely. C needs to be careful now because he's lost an awful lot of those Hellions, but of course now the Thor heavy army has been revealed. But what I like is he's got a handful of Thors out, but is now switching to tanks. So even if there's a tech switch out of JookTo right now into Roaches, he's going to struggle because obviously the siege tank number is going to get a lot higher, and then obviously those Roaches aren't so good. Now the Hellions pushing forward. Obviously C wants to take this 4th base, and that's putting a lot of pressure on JookTo to go and take his 5th. But the Banshee's there, so we'll pick it off. That's going to be annoying. That Banshee's going to have to be cleaned out first. And well, as you can see, the Baneling's definitely all onto Thor. That isn't ideal in terms of the loss tab this match. JookTo losing about 1,000 more resources than that of his opponent. Looking on the map, Hive Tech is of course done. The Spire though, bit late on the Spire timing. It's only half done, so obviously you want to try and sync those up with the Hive finishing so you can start the Greater Spire at the earliest convenience. And well, looking on the map, 3 vehicle weapons coming down. The Ultra Cavern on its way, so that's quite an interesting choice against Mech because obviously those Siege Tanks and Thors deal great damage against Ultras. So not quite sure. I think that's the best move. Obviously, the Broodlords are where it's really, really strong, especially in the higher siege tank number. But again, we'll wait and see how JookTo goes and plays this. He's getting 3 melee upgrades down. Of course, they are behind that of JookTo's upgrades. A good fungal growth goes down on these Hellions. Should be able to clean up most of them now, but actually they do just survive most of them, so that's going to be quite annoying. But actually, it looks like C's forgotten about them and has just pulled back anyway. Looking around the map, of course, we've got these missile tides giving good defense of the main base, so no kind of harassment from Hellions or anything, from Mutalisks rather, anytime soon. We've got the 5th orbital command down already, and of course, the 5th base for JookTo only just finishing. And well, we've got pressure coming across, and of course C reaching that kind of 200 of 200 mark where Mech gets just oh so dangerous. We've got 4 Ultras queued up, but this is going to be really, really effective, and C could very well pick off this 4th base of JookTo right now. But it looks like a counter-attack is going to be on the cards, and that is possibly the best move you can make because, well, Mech is very, very immobile. It's very, very slow. But these Zerglings need to engage all at once. Planetary Fortress of the 4th means that it will be defended easily with those SCVs being pulled masterfully there. The 4th base of JookTo has now been picked off, and see, he's in absolute boss mode right now. We've got some tanks there, spread out nicely. So many infested Terrans getting locked out, but of course the repairs going down on the Planetary Fortress are always very, very nice, but so many SCVs are going to get killed here. Meanwhile, the 4th base is taken out, and it looks like C is moving on towards the 3rd base. The Planetary Fortress still staying up just, but the damage may just be too much in the end. But in terms of the loss tab, still you can see about 1,000 more resources lost by JookTo, so he's not engaging more cost effective than his opponent. And while he has picked off the 4th base, he's about to lose his 3rd, and well, infested Terrans could be very, very strong here, but there's not much energy on these infestors. All the tanks are grouped up, Burrow being used very, very effectively here. Of course, if you just lob the infested Terrans out all around, it takes up a bit of the tank fire. The Ultras running in as quickly as they can, but they are taking huge damage. Of course, their armor has been researched, but not the 3-3 upgrades yet. And it looks like, for the moment, JookTo going to be able to clean that up. He hasn't started his greatest fight is done rather, so that is obviously a very, very good tech switch should he need to. But meanwhile, we've got LiquidSea pushing down towards his 5th base. He borrowed all of those drones just to try and clear those out. But of course, now you've got JookTo down on just 3 hatcheries and 2 bases, which is going to be big problems. But that hatchery may actually survive unless those tanks focus it down. And you really, really want to pick off that base. 78 health, 18 health. Yes, it does go down. For a second, I was worried C was going to leave that up. But now, of course, C's in a good spot. He's also taking another base down here, so he's keeping up in terms of base count. In terms of the worker count, he's only 4 behind, and when you factor in mules, that's great points. But of course, the main base pretty much mined out, the natural very low. Upgrade-wise, it's 3-3 on the vehicles for the Terran, and 3-3 on the melee for the Zerg. So upgrade-wise, they're very, very equal. No switch into Broodlords yet, though. That's the only thing that's missing that I'd really, really like to see. Those infestors jumping up there. They were buried. Again, this could be a really, really nice time to drop an awful lot of infested Terrans around here because, of course, there is no Planetary Fortress yet. All these SCVs could get picked off incredibly quickly. We do have units moving in from the side, but only 2 Hellions. There's not really enough there. But we do see the Zerg pull back, and I'm quite surprised that Thor's coming over. Thors are going to engage quite well against these Ultras just because of the amount of damage they do. I mean, they do 39 damage per hit, so even the 5 armor doesn't help hugely against that on the Ultralisks. But for the moment, it looks like C's being forced back there, but he's taking his 4th base is back up. He's got these additional orbital commands, obviously, and he's just doing a good job of mining everywhere. He needs to pick off these bases. If he does manage to do that, it'd be an absolute massive win. Ultralisk burrowing, and I'm amazed they can manage to do that, because I think I'd still notice those giant spikes out of the ground. But of course this isn't the Heart of the Swarm beta, so they don't have charge, which is just oh so awesome. But as you can see here, the Ultras unburrowing and able to get massive splash over all of the Thors. Absolutely great play by JookTo right now. And LiquidSea, he is still able to hold it up though, and he does clean it all up for the moment, which is going to be very, very frustrating for JookTo, and it looks like he's going to re-lose this base. He is getting more units on. I think the big problem is he didn't tech switch into those Broodlords in time, and of course these Thor numbers are just ever so powerful. But here we go, we've got a Mule cooldown as well, so we should see some repairs coming down fairly quickly. And of course, once you start seeing all of those sort of shenanigans, you know you've got problems, because, well, this mech army, very, very strong. We do finally now have this single command center trying to come back down, but no, infested Terrans are down there already. This base really, really critical. If C was able to pick that off, it'd be big problems. His planetary fortress to the other side is able to stay up though, so that's keeping him in a good spot. In terms of the supply count, C about 50 ahead, so again, he's in a good spot. Those burrowed infestors really playing well though for the moment. That single command center is going to take quite a bit of damage, but as you can see, C is, in my opinion, pulling ahead now. He's just got tech advantage, the army advantage, the base advantage, and that's a really strong place to be in. And of course, the problem for LiquidSea, for JookTo rather, is he can't take this base, so he's really stuck down now onto, well, what is 2 and a bit mining bases, and obviously the Terran can be very, very threatening to those bases. And as you can see here, these Thors are engaging just so well against the Ultras and just cleaning everything up ever so comfortably. The cost effectiveness of a mech army when it gets up to late game is fine, and JookTo just GG's out. He knows he can't deal with that now, and just beautiful play yet again by LiquidSea. So thank you very much for watching, guys. If you did enjoy it, please subscribe. I get new games up daily. Leave a cool comment below, let me know what you thought of the play, the players and the casting, and yeah, like the video. But until tomorrow, have a very nice day, and yeah, see you then for yet another new cast. Bye for now.